fellow bait chuckers out there. My name is Michael. Welcome back to the channel. I first want to start off by saying a huge thank you to everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. We're coming up on 900 subscribers already, and 1,000 is just around the corner. So thank you everyone. I'm glad you're all enjoying the content. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget it's free. We got that special deal. Buttons right down below. Don't forget to give it a click. Really appreciate it. Helps out the channel. Even if you just want to drop a comment, say tight lines, baby. It's all good. Appreciate all the interaction everyone's been giving the channel. I also need to apologize to a lot of you because I know I'm pulling a little bit of a bait and switch here. I'm sorry. I know a lot of you were expecting to do Morning Dawn. Okay, we're going to get to that next week because something special happened. Okay, Jason and Amanda launched a brand new mold, the 3-inch Crappie Slayer. And now, do you remember a few videos back when I was complaining that there was no Crappie Slayer? Look at that, rip off the little tail there of the 3-inch Slick Swim, and look at that. Now you got a 3-inch Crappie Slayer because there is no 3-inch Crappie Slayer. I don't know why. He just hasn't made one yet. Yeah, well now we got a 3-inch Crappie Slayer and we got a tail mold. So we're going to shoot up a really fun color. We're going to color match some Sour Patch watermelon kids, and we're going to rig it up a couple different ways to try and catch some bass. Now, you know, look, I don't got nothing against crappie fishing. I just prefer to fish for bass, okay? So I'm not really familiar with the 2-inch Crappie Slayer, but I have had my eye on this 3-inch Crappie Slayer since Jason announced it. Now it's in my hands and we're going to have some fun. Now the 3-inch Crappie Slayer is exactly what you would think it is. It's an upsized version of the smaller 2-inch Crappie Slayer. Now the body is just a little bit bigger and the tail is just a little bit longer. Really cool design, and I was really excited to find out about this because we can really start to use this to start catching some bass now. Because it's got that long flippy tail back there, we can put it on some chatterbaits, we can Damiki rig it, there's lots of stuff we could do. The detail inside this tail mold is fantastic as well. So this tail mold will hold 20 tails, and I believe it's 20 cavities inside the crappie mold itself. So one full injection on the tail mold gives you one full set of crappie baits here as well, 20 cavities. The bait itself is pretty awesome. Real floppy tail. Now this is actually in a swim bait blend because it's left over, and you can see how floppy the tail is. Today we're going to be using worm blend because it's all about the action. I really want that tail to be flop around and give us the best action possible. But like I said, thicker body, longer tail, full 3-inch profile, the Crappie Slayer. We're gonna Damiki rig it. We're going to show you how it looks on a chatterbait. Trust me on this. You're going to want to stick around because you'll be able to catch some bass with this upsized crappie bait, I'm telling you. We're going to bust out some really bright colors today. Okay, we're going to throw that recipe up on the screen for you right now. Sour Patch Watermelon is basically going to consist of Lureworks Hot Pink as well as Dead On Plastics Charlime. So these are going to be the two colors that we're going to start with and see if we can't match ourselves a little bit of Sour Patch Watermelon. Let's have some fun. Our first cup of plastisol, fresh out of the microwave, ready to go. Let's get you in close here. All right, we are going to start off with the pink, huh? Why not? Hot pink. We'll give it a good 20 drops. We shook this up really good ahead of time. All right, there we go. There's 20 drops. Ooh, look at that. Oh, wow. That is definitely hot pink. Oh my goodness. You know what though? Pretty thin. Another 20 drops. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. Look how thick that is. Whew. That is such a vibrant pink. Oh my goodness. There's a little bit of purplish in there too. It's not a color shift. It's definitely hot pink, but it doesn't look anything like the bottle. I'm going to go another 20 drops. Okay, so now we're at 60 drops, 60 total. And I think we're gonna have to get our color tester out because, whoo, goodness gracious. That is pink, but it doesn't, see, if you look at it on the mixing knife there, see, it's pretty translucent there still. So I definitely want to see what this looks like. Well, no. Okay. See, this is why we do that. That tells us a different story. It looks pretty good. It gets darker to light. So I think we're going to run with that. So 60 drops, 60. Now looking at the candy itself, it is a lighter pink. You could probably go with something like the Dead On Chewy if you wanted kind of that lighter bubblegum-ish pink. But I've had the hot pink on the shelf for quite some time, and I've been really trying to find an excuse to use it. And this seemed like the perfect excuse. So we're rolling with the hot pink today, and that's what we're doing. Oh, that candy's good. Okay. Here's our other cup of plastisol. Next up we have the Dead On Charlime, and so you know, I think we're just going to go right into 40 drops because we're going to want this pretty thick. Okay, so here goes 40 drops. 40. Ooh, yeah. Look at that nice neon Charlime green there. That's going to look real good. All right. Also looking a little thin. And we're going to go another 20. I think we're just going to make a 60 and 60. Yeah, there we go. That definitely thickened it up a little bit, got rid of some of that opacity. So now let's drop some of that into our color test mold. Oh, that looks so good. All right, what do you think here? Hold them up, you know, close enough, huh? What do you think? I mean, it's definitely inspired by a Sour Patch watermelon. I think it's a pretty cool combination. Those two are going to look really good, especially on a crappie bait, and I think that's going to make for some really good pre-spawn bass baits as well. All right, let's get these two heated up in the microwave again. We're going to toss them inside the vacuum chamber, get rid of the bubbles, and then we'll get ready to inject. All right, what are we working with here, huh? Oh yeah. That laminate is gonna look pretty feisty. If that doesn't get some spawning bass's attention, I don't know what will. Okay, so we're right about 320. That's where we want to be for the green, and we got the pink coming out right now. That needed a little bit more time in the microwave to come up to temperature. Hopefully we're not too hot on that. Oh yeah, let's take a look. 340, 350. Okay, so we just got to stir it a little bit. Stir it a little bit to get that temperature down. And we'll get these nice and even. I think we're going to end up going, we're probably going to switch these. I usually do belly on the left, back on the right. So what I will do here is swap these two. So this way we have pink for the belly, green for the back. Very similar again to the candy. We're trying to match the candy in which the green is the outside shell here. I'm telling you, that candy is so good. Okay, we're a little cooler on this side. We're going to give the green 10 more seconds in the microwave. Alright, when doing the laminates, it's really, really important. There we go, 320, 319, 320. What are we looking over here? 320, 330, perfect. Again, it's really important to keep those temperatures as close to one another as possible. I believe within 10 to 20 degrees is kind of the rule of thumb. Remember everybody, don't forget to glove up. Okay, here we go. Injector's ready. Sour Patch watermelon, here we go. We are going to shoot the bodies as well as the tails. So this should be fun. Okay. Holding a little bit of pressure because it is a cold mold. Alright, looks good. Let's get the tails in here. Do some laminate tails, why not? That's going to hardly use any plastic at all, but that's okay. We're going to hold pressure there anyhow. Okay. Let's top that off right there a little bit. Alright. Drop that right in there. Okay. Blending block time. You know this is the moment of truth. Huh? Ooh. Oh yeah. If that doesn't have Sour Patch Watermelon written on it, I mean, come on, that's going to look good in the bait. Okay, so don't get mad at me. Okay? Don't get mad, but I cheated a little bit. This is the first time I've done this color, and I peeked before you all got to see it, and I'm kind of glad I did, because this did not turn out at all like I thought it was going to. The Charlime looks yellow. I mean, can you see that? Look at that. What the heck is that? That's not the bait we poured. It's supposed to be green. So, yeah, the Charlime turned yellow when it's mixed with the light from the pink there. So, we are definitely going to have to add some more colorant, make this just a little bit more opaque. So, we're going to do that right now, and let's mix up round 2 and see if we can't get this a little bit closer to where it's supposed to be, which is the Sour Patch Watermelon. Okay, so we've got everything set up here to do another round, but you know, I'm not really happy with the colors, so I definitely want to thicken up both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and add another 40 drops to each side. So this is going to bring it up to 100 drops. So let's see if this helps thicken this up a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little less yellow. Okay, let's see what that does for us, if this thickens it up at all. So another 40 drops of the Charlime we've added in here, as well as another 40 drops of the Lureworks Hot Pink. So hopefully this provides a little more opacity. We won't get as much light transmission, and hopefully we'll get more of the green and the pink as opposed to that weird, like, it was like a yellow we got there on the green side, and really like a red we had over on the pink side. It wasn't really fantastic. So, alright, we definitely need a little more time in the microwave for these before we're ready to shoot. So let's go ahead and warm these back up, and let's see if round 2 is going to do any better than round 1. Alright, let's see how round 2 does. Gloved up, injector ready. Here we go. Ooh, little air on that left side. It's okay, it's quite alright. Nice, even pressure. Hold that pressure a little bit. Alright. Oh, the sprues definitely look a lot better there in round 2, so hopefully these colors will stay bright on us. Okay. Blending block, round 2. Okay. Very bright. The first round was bright too, but let's see. Let's hope they stick. I hope they stick because that's nice and bright. Okay. Here we are. Round 2 of the epic Crappie Slayer. Let's hope that this one is much better than the first round. Hopefully they won't be as yellow. Let's see here. Well, looks like we still got yellow, just a brighter version of the yellow. Looks like that green did not hold, which is really a shame. The pink definitely got brighter, that's for sure. Definitely a super bright pink there. And those laminates are just as good as ever. But, A little unfortunate. We have yellow and pink, not green and pink. Not very watermelon-y-ish, if you ask me, but yeah. So, well, you know, not every color match is going to turn out to be exact. It's really kind of a letdown, to be quite honest with you. I mean, Sour Patch Watermelon, we definitely got the pink there, but there's no green. This is definitely yellow. So, more like a chartreuse in pink. That's really weird how the pink laminated it and turned it to a yellow. Because when I look at the sprue colors here, the sprue colors definitely look green and pink. But when I bring one of the baits into play, it just doesn't have that same effect. It just turned yellow. I don't understand why. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You can see from the sprues here. Here's the first sprue. Definitely more yellow and pink. You can see the bright pink there, but that turned out yellowish. Here's the second sprue up at 100 drops. Definitely brighter pink as well as a brighter green. But it still doesn't look anything like it does in the cups, which is really, really strange. So, very interesting. Well, not every single color match is going to go the way that we want it to. We do have some of the orange tails though, so let's go ahead and get those poured up and see what they look like, at least with the orange tails. Maybe we can save this. Okay, so now what we have here are the orange tails that we poured before we started the video, and we're going to grease these up with some worm oil, get them all nice and slick, and then we're going to insert them inside the 3-inch crappie mold, so that way we can get kind of a three-way. We can have an orange tail, and I think we're going to flip the laminate over this time, and let's go with a pink back and a Charlime belly. I think that's definitely going to be the way we're going to go. Alright, so we'll get a couple drops of worm oil to go in there. Okay, we're just going to take that. I'm just going to mix that up with our fingers. No real scientific method to it. We just want to make sure all the tails get covered in worm oil. They'll fit into that mold easy. And the thing to notice about these tails is that you see how they come down to a point right there? They're wider that one way, and then they're skinnier than the other. So they definitely lay in the mold flat like that. When you put them in there, you want to make sure you don't have them, you know, turned up sideways. Everything's got to lay flat inside the mold. Alright, this is what we're working with here. And we're just going to take these, and one by one, we're just going to lay these in the mold. They just slide right into place because we got them coated nice with worm oil. Just kind of set them down there, tap them into place with your finger, make sure they're flat. Now the other thing I should point out is that this is going to take some time. Now I'm not going to force you to sit here and watch me do every single one of these, but eventually once you get going, you can kind of get yourself into a little groove there. And you can see the way I'm doing it is I kind of like to line up the bottom of the tail right where it needs to be and then set it in, and then I'll come back along once I have them all kind of laid in there and then tap every single one, you know, into place and make sure I got the tip of the tail right at the edge there. So once you do it enough times, you'll get used to it. You can get a system going. But keep in mind, this is definitely a timely process. So, you know, if you are making these baits for sale because you have a small business or something like that, definitely make sure you kind of account for that, because this is going to take some time. You know, it's an extra few minutes in the bait making process. Alright, and there we go. You can see we have all of those tails lined up right to the edge. A little bit of worm oil there. And it's got that little bit of overhang in there. So that way the overpour of the body is going to latch onto that tail and grab on. So you get a nice hot bond. So we're going to do a laminate in this. So we're going to have orange tails, and then we're going to do a chartreuse belly with a pink back this time. Okay, here we are. Round 3. The orange tails with the brighter pigments in there. Hopefully this turned out pretty good. Let's take a look. Ooh, oh yeah, I already like that with the pink on the top. That definitely turned out really nice with that hot pink and those little carrot tails coming off the back. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Still has that little bit of yellow tint to it, not really green, but still that red's overpowering. But there you go. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's just a... Whew. So we have a straight laminate all the way across, and you could see where that tail is just over molded on the top and bottom right there by the body. Really turned out great. So, you know, I don't know if we're going to catch a bass or not on this color. I mean, bright pink, kind of a chartreuse yellowish with an orange tail. But really just wanted to have some fun and show off the power of the mold. We can really do some fun stuff with this crappie style bait. So let's get everything on the tray. Let's get the close-up goodness, and then we'll meet you right back here on the workbench and we'll get some rigging done. Sour Patch watermelon. I mean, you know, at least we kind of matched the wrapper, sort of. I mean, you know, I'll tell you what though, after looking at these here, you can see I went ahead and I poured a version of just the solid pink by itself, as well as the solid green. And I mean, you can see just looking at them here that the individual pink and green did not turn out anything like when we combine them together in a laminate. So here's proof right here that, you know, when you laminate two colors together, they're not always necessarily going to turn out exactly the way you think they are. And you know, it's funny, when I look at these colors just on their own, you know, I'm not really super impressed. However, when I start to look at them rigged up on some of the baits, I think we got a couple winners here. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a couple different ways that I'm going to rig these up to try and catch some bass. And then in a future video, I'm going to save all of these baits here, and we're going to do the Sour Patch Watermelon Challenge. I am determined to make it official and catch a bass on one of these crappie baits. So at some point in the future, be looking for that video. Just yet another reason to subscribe, you know? Okay, so ways to rig them up. Let's start first with the Damiki rig, okay? Now the Damiki rig, this is something that I brought up in a video a while back. I talked about using a 3-inch slick swim and then ripping the tail off the back, because typically a flat tail bait or a split tail bait is what's used in a Damiki rig setup. So again, you want a small fish head with a 90-degree vertical line tie. The guppy heads from Dirty Jigs also work just as well. Any you know, kind of jig head with the vertical line tie, and you put it on there, and that 3-inch crappie is just perfect. You can see that tail is just wiggling back there. Now in the water, this is great because this is almost similar like a weighted drop shot. You're just going to dangle it in the water there, and you're going to pull those fish up from the bottom and hopefully entice them to bite. So Damiki rig setup is definitely one way to go. You can rig this to get some bass. Similar to that is the Damiki rig underspin. So here we have the same 3-inch Crappie Slayer, right? Tied up with the Damiki underspin. Similar concept here, although you can pull it through the water, get a little bit of flash underneath there. You're not going to get much kick in the back of the tail there because it doesn't have a paddle tail, but it's going to whip around and at least follow the path of the bait as well as the body roll. So you can see I poured these in a worm blend. They're not very durable, but I was all about action. It really was my focus for this. So I'm going to get lots of action out of that worm blend in the tail, and if I go through a lot of them, I'm not worried about it because I get 20 of them per injection, so not too worried there. So again, the Damiki rig underspin as well as the standard Damiki rig, great ways to catch bass off of the 3-inch Crappie Slayer. Let's stick to bottom contact. How about that? Here we have a Z-Man EWG Ned Rig setup. Look at that setup right there. This little guy is going to be getting pulled across the bottom. That tail's going to be flapping everywhere. This is going to be fantastic, rigged up, popped up, whoop, up and down, and this weight's going to pop it up. It's going to rest down at the bottom. That tail's going to be sticking up in the middle of the air like that, just flapping around in the water. Going to look real good. Take this, pour it in some good bass catching colors, and you can Ned rig your way into a couple bass, no doubt about it, with this bait right here. Moving on to the swim bait. Do you remember that Okashira screw head that I talked about a while back? It's one of my favorites in the finesse category. So let's bring back the Okashira screw head with the 3-inch Crappie Slayer. Look at that. So we still got the propeller head there on the front and that nice hook out the back, and that tail is going to rock back and forth along with the body, and it's just going to whip around back there. Again, look, it's just about whippy little tails. It's not a paddle kick. It's not going to paddle. It's going to stay pretty relatively straight, but it's going to have that little vibration as the bait starts to, you know, rotate with its body as that propeller spinning around. That little tail back there is just going to give it that little tiny jiggle. Just really give that tiny little bait fish profile. Nice little adolescent fish there. So again, Okashira screwhead, 3-inch Crappie Slayer. Definitely a good way to catch some bass. And moving on into our last category here, but certainly not least, is the bladed jig category. And I'm going to start off with the Willow Vibe. We brought this up back in the Slick Swim video, but the Willow Vibe, the bladed jig, is a perfect setup for these type of baits because that tail is going to stick out the back and it's just going to whip around. So this willow blade is going to be vibrating, and that tail is just going to fly back and forth, have all kinds of commotion back there, and it's just going to move right along with the blade of the Willow Vibe. That's the nice thing about these straight tails, is they're not going to counteract the action that the blade's going to give you. As the blade's rocking the bait back and forth, this tail's just going to follow and there's going to be no resistance. So you're just going to get that kind of snake tail effect back there as it's vibrating along. Now, sizing up from the Willow Vibe, more of a full-size jig. This is a fire crawl jig, hand-tied by my buddy Justin over at Head Outdoors. You've heard me talk about him a lot. And so what I've done here in this case is I've almost just kind of hooked it very similarly like I would almost like a chunk bait. You see that there? I just kind of put the hook right through the front of it there, didn't really bring it all the way back, just kind of like a chunk hook. And again, like I mentioned, I get 20 of these per injection. I'm not worried if they're going to get destroyed or if they last one fish at a time. They're small, they're inexpensive to make. So by rigging it as a chunk swim like that, when I get it all set up, you can see that that tail is sticking out the back right there. And again, similar to the Willow Vibe, as it runs through the water and vibrates, that tail is just going to flop around back and forth and just provide lots of action. It's not a paddle. It's not going to combat with the bladed jig. But again, the Willow Vibe and bladed jig, other ways to use the 3-inch Epic Crappie Slayer. All right, and with that, I think we are going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed our failed attempt at matching the Sour Patch Watermelon, well, hey, put a thumbs up down below. And in fact, here's what I'd also like for you to do. I'm going to take these baits, like I told you, and I'm going to go and try and catch a bass with it. Do you think I can catch a bass on these baits? I'm going to use these right here. These exact colors. Let me know in the comments below if you think I'm going to get a bass. Let me know if you think these aren't going to work at all and I'm going to get skunked. Because what I want to do is when we do film that video, I want to come back and look at the comment section here, tally up the votes, see who was for me, see who was against me, and let's see if we can't prove one side of the house wrong. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, y'all know who it is. Your friend on this end, Michael, out here around the Delta Sloughs, reminding you to keep on chucking. I'll get back with you.